You know that feeling when you find somewhere truly unique and magical. It's like stepping into a secret world. Might be a cafe, a shop, a quirky hidden part of town that you discover, and it's like going on a big adventure. Well, today I'm going to take you on an adventure with my lovely guest. And you'll have to excuse my voice because it's very cracky. Right. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Becky, and I'm the creative director and founder of the homeware brand Shea Becky. And I believe the kitchen is the heart of the home. And I'm really excited today to be interviewing Sarah Rudder, whose mantra is read, cook, eat, repeat, which I just love. Having worked as a corporate trainer for 20 years, last year, Sarah gave herself permission to explore a long-held dream of running a bookshop. The result is the kitchen table, a niche bookshop specialising in books for cooks, gifts for gourmets, and an expanding pantry of spices and hard-to-get ingredients. Nestled on the high street in Shaftesbury, North Dorset, the shop is rapidly gaining a name for itself with food writers and local foodies. Alongside a wonderful selection of cookbooks for all ages, the shop champions local artists and makers by stocking beautifully local made products such as serveware and food-related prints and cards. Sarah also runs cookery-based events from her shop, giving her customers a chance to learn new skills, watch demos, and hear from local food writers. So welcome, Sarah. It's so lovely to have you here. Your
Thanks,
shop
Becky.
just sounds magical. So,
Well, I think it's magical, obviously.
so I'm interested to know sort of what cookbook would you recommend for somebody who's sort of just starting out? Maybe it's like a good present for someone who's gone to uni and you need that book that you can go to, which will tell you how to make all of the basic things as well as maybe some more interesting things.
Sure. It's lovely that you mentioned university because I still have my copy of Delia Smith's Complete Cookery that my mum sent me off to university in the second year, actually. First year I was in halls of residence, so I was looked after. But second year, and it has an inscription in the front of it that says looking forward to some gastronomic delights in year 2 at university, something like that. And that was 1992-ish, I think. So Delia's always got to be the go-to for if you're starting out, if you're thinking this is the first time I've ever roasted a chicken and I don't know how to do it, then Delia has got to be the go-to, I think. So that's, yeah. And we
I
have
would
her
agree with you. I have the same as well. Very well thumbed, falling
Yes.
apart, complete cookery book, and I still go to it. You know, how do I do this thing? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you grow and develop as a cook, then you will expand into other things. But if you just want the good basics and clear instruction, Delia, every time.
Yeah, that's what I like about Delia as well. What shelf in the oven? What size pot? Nothing is assumed, is it? Which I think can happen with some cookbooks. They assume you have a certain amount of knowledge.
Yeah. And when you start finding that you're reading that and thinking, oh, Delia's being a bit condescending, then you're ready to move on to something more for yourself.
That's a very good tip. I like that. Yeah, because then you've got your ground. You're starting to
you know when you're ready.
So what would be the next one? Or does it depend, do you think?
Oh gosh, I don't know where you go. I think it depends
Yeah.
on what you fancy, doesn't it then? Once you know how to do the basics, it depends where you want to go from there. So for me, I love Middle Eastern cooking. That's kind of my thing these days. But I also have customers who love Japanese or French or Spanish or whatever it might be. So I think it just depends on where your tastes take you and where your adventures take you. That's the thing about cookbooks, isn't it? That they can take, in the safety of your own kitchen, they can take you off to all sorts of places around the world.
That's really true. Yes, I love that. And I love, yeah, you get the flavors and the tastes of somewhere different, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I love Christmas. So do you have like a similar thing for Christmas? Like, or does it again sort of maybe just depends on who you like as a
Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, every year there is some beautiful cookbooks that come out for Christmas. There's a fantastic ginger pig cookbook for Christmas that's out at the moment that's proving really popular. River Cottage is always a good go-to for Christmas as well. I mean, we tend to sort of do different things in our house each year. So we have done a Middle Eastern Christmas and ottolenghi recipes kind of
yeah
with a go-to for that. Last year we had a beef Wellington for a change. So I think again it just depends. I think about what sort of a Christmas you want to have, and if you want a super traditional Christmas, then Delia again or Mary Berry or somebody super classic like that is probably a great go-to. If you want to change it up a bit, then go.
So do you change what you eat every Christmas? Do you have different sort of, or do you have the traditional?
Yeah, no, we change it up. We change it up and do something a bit different each time. But even if we do different, there still has to be some classic stuff has to pop up, doesn't it?
What do you have to have?
Well, I mean, even if you're having ottolenghi's slow roasted lamb, you're still going to have a pig in a blanket on the side of that, right?
What about a sprout?
And a roast potato. Because otherwise, what are you going to eat for leftovers on Boxing Day?
Well, yeah, I have to say that's some of my favorite thing, like on Boxing Day, having all of the cold leftovers. Really, really, it's all part of the thing, isn't it? I think
totally. So I think, I don't know, I just think, we're surrounded every year, we're surrounded by this kind of classic Christmas kind of vision, aren't we, of what Christmas looks like, and all the adverts are big family round the table, huge turkey, all the trimmings. Doesn't have to be like that.
No, it doesn't.
You can create your own Christmas traditions, and you can create your own Christmas joy, whatever that looks like. I have friends who go walking at the coast on Christmas Day, and they take a flask of soup and some really nice sandwiches, and that's their Christmas. That's what they love to do.
Yeah.
So I think we don't have to buy into, what the media tells us Christmas should look like.
Yes. Yeah.
If your idea of Christmas is that actually you don't like the turkey, but you do like the pigs in blankets, and you want mashed potato, fine, do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it can be you can just start doing things because that's what you do, rather than out of actually thinking about what you would like to do. And maybe actively making that choice as to, I would like my Christmas to look like this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's a day, and it's a lovely day, and we can all create what we want to create, really.
I think that's a lovely idea. Do you have anything particularly quirky that you like to do, or do you do different things every year?
I mean, so we have a dog, so every day involves a dog walk, but Christmas Day is a particularly nice day for dog walking. So we usually have we don't have kids, so we usually have a fairly kind of laid back morning. We don't have to get up at 4 o'clock and open all the presents, so yeah, laid back morning, a dog walk, potter about in the kitchen for ages, with probably a glass of something nice, faffing around with vegetables and all of that sort of thing, and just try and make it stress-free, just not get too caught up in we have to eat at 1 o'clock, or any of that.
Yeah, it's putting
You know,
those, it's putting aside, isn't it? Yeah, we don't
yeah,
have to do it like this. It can look
yeah,
different, and that's okay, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And it is, as I say, easier probably to do that without children. Um, so if you do have kids, you probably are up at 4 a.m. and lunches at
Yes.
12.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're not, then that's lovely, isn't it? Yeah, to take it. But I think it's also about giving yourself permission to do it differently, isn't it? If you want to,
Yeah.
and maybe being brave and saying to somebody, well, actually, we're not going to do that this year. We're going to
Yeah,
do it like this, and
exactly.
and that's okay too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't, if you have a big happy family and everybody likes getting together, then great. If that's not your
Mm.
thing, or if that's not your world, then that's okay too.
Yes.
I've
Yeah. Absolutely.
had years where it's been me and a load of friends where we've got together and done stuff. We have family Christmas. So yeah, I think it's kind of going with the flow and appreciating that your day doesn't have to be the same as everybody else's day.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. And I love the sound of your bookshop. I would love to come and visit. How did it come about, the idea for your bookshop? When did you get that sort of inkling that this was what you wanted to do?
So when I was about 16, 17, I worked in an independent bookshop. It was my Saturday job and I loved it. And I've always been a bookworm from a very, very young age. And then, a little sort of dream of having my own bookshop one day kind of started. And I started my career in retail. I started with Debenhams as a management trainee for them, and did that for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, and then moved into the kind of learning and development side of things. So started out as a coach and a trainer, and running big leadership programs, and I loved it, absolutely loved it, and did it for 20 years and was self-employed for a big chunk of that. Was lucky enough to travel all around the world, to some fascinating places and work with some brilliant people. And then I got to a point where I was just like, this little dream of having a bookshop has just been sitting there for a long time. What are you going to do with it? And in the meantime, John and I'd got married and we'd moved to Dorset. And I was thinking, actually not enjoying the traveling so much, and, would like to be home more and would like to be more rooted in the community as well. So I just said to him one day, I'm going to give myself, and it sounds like a funny phrase maybe, but I'm going to give myself permission to just explore this. I'm not going to spend any money. I'm not going to, rush out and do anything. I'm just going to explore it a little bit. And I went on a one day sort of introduction to book selling course. And I started talking to a few people, and I started kind of sharing this idea. And actually, in the meantime, where we live in Shaftesbury, there is a beautiful niche bookshop that specialises in nature writing, and they're called Fold. And I had been in there a couple of times and thought, I hadn't thought of being able to specialise. I hadn't thought of, doing something really niche. I'd always thought of generalist bookshop. And of course, between me being 16, 17 and now, Jeff Bezos has turned up on the book selling scene. So a generalist bookshop didn't necessarily seem like quite the right thing to do. So then I got to think, okay, so if I was going to have a niche bookshop, what would my niche be? And and it was very obvious that it had to be food. It had to be food. And I thought about, and what are the books that we, even in this day and age, we still like to buy physically, rather than, I will, just like the next person, if I've got something sitting in the fridge and I think, what am I going to do with a cauliflower, and I need some inspiration, then I might go online and kind of go cauliflower recipes. But I also love having a physical book and being able to flick through it and see the photos and go, that's what we're going to cook this Saturday. We're going to have that. and then making up the shopping list and doing it that way. So I think there's room in the world for both ways of going about things. And I definitely get the sense that, that in terms of physical books, cookbooks are absolutely still one of the things that we are prepared to spend time in and money on. And we also sell cookbooks for kids, of course, and you're not going to necessarily put a child's cookbook on a Kindle. They want to have it in front of them for flicking through as well.
Well, it's the inspiration, I think, like you're saying, isn't it? I think there's something lovely about having a book anyway, whether it's a novel or a cookbook or a reference book. And because I just like to sit down with my cookbooks and look at them sometimes, get a cup of tea.
Absolutely. And you can do that with cookbooks these days. We were talking about Delia earlier on. Delia is pretty much, it's a recipe book, isn't it? But cookbooks these days are also have travel stories in them. They have memoir in them. They have more than just food. They have that whole kind of connectivity piece that goes around food. So you can sit in your kitchen with your cookbook and your cup of tea and travel off to Istanbul, and be in the streets there, and just by reading what's going on in that cookbook.
Definitely. Oh, well, that's amazing. It's been really lovely to talk to you today, Sarah. I hope everyone's found it really inspiring. And yes, so if you're anywhere near Shaftesbury in Dorset, do pop in and see her. And do you have your events? So you mentioned that you do events. Do they go online on your so we'll put the link to your online website below, and so people can check out when your next events are coming up and things like that.
That would be great. So people can follow us on Instagram at the Kitchen Table Dorset, and also like you say, on our website there's a link to Eventbrite, and you'll be able to find out all of our events and all of our writers and demonstrations and things that are coming up.
Brilliant. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much, Sarah. Have a lovely Christmas.
And you take care. Bye.
Bye.